What's the deal with harmonics on the bass? What's going on? It's Jason Ethan. I've been playing harmonics my whole bass playing life. They sound so great on the bass and they're used by all different kinds of composers. But whenever anyone actually asks me how they work, I'm stumped. People have been asking for a video on harmonics, and I immediately thought of my buddy Chris West, who wrote a book on harmonics plus a video series. So in this video, we're going to learn the hows and whys of harmonics, test these out on the bass, and I'm going to give you a tip at the end for making harmonics really sing. Let's dive in with Chris, and we've got this book for sale on our sheet music store. Links in the description below.
Hi, I'm Chris West. In this video, I'm going to talk about the natural harmonics on just one string, the G string.
Yeah, it's good to start simple.
The notes you can play as natural harmonics are the notes in the harmonic series. That's the same series of notes you can play on a brass instrument without using valves.
Yeah, that's a great comparison, by the way. And it's one of those things that can be really confusing for folks when you start out.
They're the notes where the frequency is a whole number times the frequency of the fundamental, which in our case is the open string. So there they are.
This is wild.
You'll see that the notes get closer together the higher you get. There's one note in the bottom octave, two in the next,
so these are the positions
4 in the next,
in which you could fit them.
And in theory there are 8 in the top octave after that, but I'm only going to show us up to this one. When I'm playing an ordinary note, the string is vibrating the widest at the middle of the string, and the only stationary points are at the ends, at the nut and at the bridge. But if I touch the string at the halfway point, it forces the string to vibrate in a different way.
Yep, there's the node.
Now it's vibrating like this. To get the next note in the series, a perfect fifth above that, I can touch 1/3 of the way along the string, and I can do that from either end. So it's here above this D, and above this D too.
Yeah, and these are super useful for all sorts of applications. Even if you're not playing harmonics in a piece, I find them helpful just for navigating the bass, and I put together a video about that I will link up to.
And if you look closely, you'll see that whichever node I touch, the string is stationary at both points, because it's vibrating like this in 3 equal lengths. So let's move on to the 4th note in
Yeah,
the
this is the
series.
confusing one.
Remember when we halved the string, it caused the pitch to rise by an octave. So if you make the string vibrate into 4 equal lengths, that's the same as halving it twice. So now we're going to get the G 2 octaves above the open string. We can achieve that by touching the string 3/4 of the way down at the G itself, or by touching it here 1/4 of the way down at the C. Notice that there's another node at 2/4, but that's the same as a half, so we can't force the string to vibrate in 4 equal lengths by touching it at 2/4.
Right, that's a great explanation. That's one of those that I have done not as well as Chris many times over the years talking to folks.
The next note in the harmonic series is this B, a major third higher. It's the 5th note in the series, so we have to get the string to vibrate in 5 equal lengths. And we can do that by touching the nodes at 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, or 4/5. So where are those nodes? Where do they come? Well, the answer is they come over any note that has that top B in its harmonic series. So the B below,
This is a great explanation.
the E, a perfect fifth below that, and then the B that's 2 octaves below.
And this is the sort of thing that when people ask, how does this work exactly? I'm like, I don't know.
And if the idea of the harmonic series under a note reminds you of Jacob Collier and his negative harmony, then that might have something to do with the fact that Jacob used to come to me for double bass lessons when he was a kid.
What?
Maybe if you study these double bass harmonics, you could become a musical genius like Jacob Collier too. The other thing I'd like you to notice is that those notes, E, B and G, that lie under the high B, form part of a minor arpeggio. Now that's because This section of the harmonic series is the inversion of a minor arpeggio. The harmonic series has a perfect fourth, a major third and a minor third going up, and the minor arpeggio has the same intervals coming down. The sixth note in the harmonic series is going to be an octave above the third note, so it's another D. And this time the nodes come on a G minor arpeggio. Above the open G we have B flat, D, G, and then the two Ds. But as with the quarter string harmonics, you can't get this top D to sound at all these notes. It works at 5/6 and 1/6, but 2/6 is the same as a third,
Yeah.
3/6 is the same as a half, and 4/6 is the same as 2/3.
The basic math that I forget.
If you want to sound the harmonic in this area of the bass, you have to touch two of the nodes, like this, or like this.
Isn't that cool? And this is something that David Allen Moore explores a lot in his fractal fingering course, so I'll make sure to link up to that if you want to go down the rabbit hole on this, with these artificial harmonics to get these different spots.
And if you've watched my video on arpeggios, you may remember we played some of the notes in those, like this.
Yeah, Chris's arpeggio harmonics are really smart.
The seventh note in the harmonic series is a flat F. We do use it occasionally, and ideally you should try and pull the string to make it a bit more in tune.
It's harder to do than you
We're dividing
think.
the string in 7, and in theory you could make the notes sound from any of the 6 notes. In fact, I have had some students who don't like stretching out for that top F who play this one an octave lower on the thumb.
Yeah.
Now 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, so the 8th note in the harmonic series is 3 octaves above the open string. Now the nodes here come on a sharp A, a C minor arpeggio, and then the 2 Gs. And in theory, I should be able to sound this top G by touching at 1/8, 3/8, 5/8, and 7/8. So let's see.
And this is one that I rarely do down in the low position just because it's over a sharp A, like Chris said, and that's just disorienting enough for me to not find that so useful.
Here is 1/8, which is the sharp A. 3/8 is an E flat.
It's cool.
5/8 should come on a C.
Oh, I forget that it's over the E flat.
And 7/8 is the G itself. But the problem is, right up here, these harmonics are getting pretty close together now. So it's safer and more stable if you always try and touch 2 nodes. So I hardly ever play this top G without putting my thumb on the G below.
Oh, that's cool. I should start doing that. Why don't
Or I
I do
could
that?
also play it like this, with G and C a fifth apart. They just ring better than if I just try and touch one note at a time.
Yeah, it's like a tightrope act trying to get that high G, or the really high ones sometimes.
And the same applies for the 9th, 10th and 12th note in the series, A, D,
I never
and
thought
D.
to do that. I gotta do that.
Although rather than stretch all the way down there and get my fingers dirty in the rosin, more often than not, I play those ones with the pair of fingers a fifth apart.
Oh, wow.
And of course, all those 3 can be played in lots of other ways.
I gotta practice
touching
that.
either 1 node or 2. The one I've left out, the 11th note, that one, that's midway between C and C sharp.
Yeah.
So it's not much use unless you're playing specialist modern music.
Harmonics are a huge topic, and I could do a whole series of videos on them. Let me know if you want more like this in the comments below. Chris dug into a lot, but there are 3 main ways that I like to approach harmonics. And the first is just taking those fractions and finding where each one of those are. So you have the whole string, then you divide it in half, right here, then you divide it in thirds, and then you divide it in fourths. So you have this, and finally, and this is where I stop with most folks when we're starting out with harmonics, I find the fifths. And so those right there, if you string them all together, which is the second way I like to approach them, you get And I love to practice those myself. I have students work on those, and these are great because just about every position has one of those notes. Maybe more than one in some cases. And then after that, I like to dig into, for the third way, practical applications. How am I actually going to use these things on the bass? And Chris has this wonderful page in his book that has some practical applications. Those are my words. But he starts off by having you go way up here and actually learn how to string notes together into a scale up here. So we have this. And that is so useful to be able to actually play a linear line like that. That's a wonderful thing. And you can make up your own exercises up there, but really, really excellent and useful. And then also getting some arpeggios that you're going to use in music like Bottesini or Dragonetti, or a lot of classical composers and jazz composers, all sorts of people use these. But getting this G major arpeggio. You notice there's only one closed note, it's that B. So finding that, and you can transfer them over to the other string, starting to build up some speed. That's a super useful exercise. Chris also has some exercises for getting you comfortable doing arpeggios using 2 natural harmonics. And so these are super cool. This D major arpeggio, again, only one closed note. And then he gives you a B minor arpeggio, same kind of approach, just starting on the A string this time. Ha 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 ha. That is an awesome finger twister, and getting those really high harmonics to pop out is a great exercise. Finally, that secret tip. Play closer to the bridge than you think, with more weight than you think, and with more bow speed than you think. You'd be surprised because harmonics sound kind of delicate, but you really need more energy to get them going. So thinking a little bit more into the string is a great way to go, and getting the harmonic spinning and getting the precision to get that working will help all your closed notes on the bass as well. There's much more to dig into with harmonics, so check out this video we've got linked up, and we'll see you in the next one.